Morning, Monday the 29th of April. Just doing a couple of little mornings before the Wednesday, so I'll get a good go at Wednesday. Just to catch up with where we are. The season's getting underway, I would say. So I've been digging, as you can see. This is the second plot. It's all one plot, but I called it the second plot. That's all dug. I did from there to the end on Wednesday. And back end of plot number one. And this morning I just turned the trench and started this bit, so hopefully tomorrow morning I should get that run done, and it just leaves that bit for Wednesday. We'll go to the greenhouse in a bit, but when I dig, I do trench dig in a sense. So I always take out a trench and each spit is turned fully into the empty trench to keep that trench all the way back. That's where I finished at the end of a row, getting ready to go to work. All the straw, the dahlia tops, these were the tops of last year's dahlias, just get laid on the paths and left over winter. I'm probably a couple of 3 weeks behind where I normally would be with the digging, just due to time and weather. But what's left is not a lot. This is out of what was probably about 15 bales of straw. Most of it has broken down and gone into the ground. As you can see, the dahlia tops are next to nothing. As I turn it upside down. Don't need to chop it around. It tends to crumble as it is, and they just get worked into the ground. And that happens every year. Everything that goes in it and grown on it goes back in it. It's had manure over time, but this last year was just the straw, and the ground's decent. It wasn't when I took this plot on about 5 years ago. It was a heavier ground, but with the extra organic matter, as long as you get the organic stuff in, the ground does improve over a fairly short period of time. So we're off to the greenhouse. So we're now in the greenhouse. These were the cuttings that you saw on the last video, me taking the main batch as such, which is 10 days ago. These have been on the open bench with fleece over, much like these last few here. And then that fleece, when I pop down here, perhaps twice a day, gets wetted down like that, which I believe is how hauls do. There's a heat mat underneath, and I try and keep the greenhouse cool, so even to the point that I have had the door open a crack like that, and the heater then has kicked in because it's gone below about 10 degrees. This last week it has been pretty cold. But these were the thinner cuttings, so they naturally are going to root quicker, and these have fully rooted in 10 days. This is a tray of Go to Twilight. I don't like writing long names, so I tend to abbreviate, and if I was to take one of those out, he says confidently, not that easy one-handed. I don't like tugging at them, I do loosen it up first. You can see that is rooted, and we'll make a fine cutting. Just needs potting on within the next couple of 3 days, I'd say. So that they're rooted, so that's 20 in that tray, and then we've got 20 there, 40 there, and 40 there, so there's 100 Go to Twilight, all rooted, and you can see there are a nice even batch of cuttings there. These are the kiwi, much the same. They're all rooted, and you can see through these cells that roots are actually coming down the side, and they're ready to pot on. I like to give them a few days once I feel they've rooted in the open, and again they do get a little spray over like that every now and again, just because I like doing it. So there's about 260, about 100, 240 odd plus there. And here is the same with that batch, that weren't quite as advanced, but I think they're probably pretty much there now. So it's Sandia Gold, but I'll keep them under the fleece. There's another tray of Sandia there. And generally, as it is with cuttings, the thicker ones take longer to root than the thinner ones. But if you leave them on the heat too long, they will start to run up. Had an issue with one of my Vitapod trays, in the sense it decided after probably about 14 years to stop working. I haven't had time to check, so I actually just took the cuttings out, put them on the heat mat, and just put the lid over the top. Could just fleece them, but weren't sure how well that would work on the thicker cuttings. So that in here are all really dark dyeing, and I think there's a tray of mirrors at the back. And again in here are the other thicker cuttings, which is Bright and Softer Gleam, Jane, a tray of mirrors there, and one tray of mostly Aggie and a few Bryn and Louis. And they look like they're pretty much there, and certainly will be given another 3 or 4 days. But I will again give them a chance to catch up. These are some dyings predominantly don't like rooting all at the same time. These are some dregs that had only just rooted that I put on the bench, and others have been sent off to various people. Pot tubers, the last of them. These were some cuttings of Naris Tricia that I topped to make the main batch, and I've just potted them, and there's a tray then of 12 pot tubers for me. And this is some Barbary Surprise, which I'm just growing purely for pot tuber. And out here is the remainder of the batch I took before I went on holiday that I potted, and a bit stupidly moved them outside yesterday just before it got quite windy and rained, but they'll be fine. And again, they're not really, this is just what's left of them, which is some Winholm Dark, a couple of trays of Gertler, tray of Sandia Gold, a couple of trays of Jane. But hopefully everything that roots in there is fine. I won't need these, and these become generally for plant sales or again pot tubers. The ones I did move out, we have had some frost, and these have been caught by said frost because I just didn't put anything over them. But I don't think it matters. Mostly I'd cut the tops off them, so any shoots like that are still coming. There's still eyes there, and even plants like that look pretty sad, but there is eyes in the leaf joint. I'm sure a few days of warm weather we might see those starting to shoot. They're only there to be pot tuber stock or potting onto big pots to grow as a larger plant to sell at the garden centre. So I've got very limited facilities, and sometimes we have to take some chances, but we only take chances with plants that don't really matter. And the tubers are still there, but they're going to bin soon. So that's where we're at. Hopefully the next couple of days I'll start potting on those Gertler and the ones that are on the open bench and rooted, and then follow on with the others. They'll be potted into the greenhouse at first. You'll notice, I forgot to mention, that I've took the bubble wrap down off the roof to give a bit more light. It's never that light this time of the day. It's about 10:30 in the morning, but as we get in towards the afternoon, then it gets full light, just to try and slow the plants once they're potted from romping up and getting long. They'll probably have a week or so in here, and then they'll go outside for a couple of weeks before planting straight into the ground out of the 3-inch pots that they're being. enjoy. Hope all yours have rooted and ready to go.